I don't know. Are you on Twitter, Dots?
I am. I follow you on
Okay,
Twitter.
I'm gonna follow you right now. Is
I'll
it
send you a
Dots?
link to him.
Or you mean just go to the TXR? He tagged me on that
Okay.
video announcement.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I did. That I did. Yeah, you can find him there.
Momentarily. I'm sorry I didn't follow you before.
You're fine. Anywho.
But hey guys, what is going on? Welcome everyone to the Xbox Roundtable Podcast, the place on Sundays to fill your evening with lots of Xbox talk and plenty of more awesome things from around the game industry. Naturally, I'm Invader, your host for the evening, and it's great to have you all here for show number 249. We've got a lot to cover tonight. Again, happy Halloween, everybody. Well, I guess Halloween's tomorrow, but I know everybody's having fun tonight, having various parties and so on. Be responsible and have a good time, guys. But yeah, we got a lot to cover. There were some really nice surprises, news from the past week, such as some news on Age of Empires anniversary. There was a stream. We'll go into details on that. As well, the face of Xbox, Phil Spencer, did an interview revealing some interesting details. We'll dive into that, along with some Redfall talk. They dropped a new trailer for it. However, first, let me introduce my exceptional panel tonight, starting out with our guest on for his third time, I guess. So he's a bit of a familiar face. Dots RTS, how you doing, bud?
Doing well. I'm doing well. Sunday night, best night of the week, at least for the Xbox community. Super duper excited for tonight's topics. One in particular, I'll give you a guess. It's not Redfall, but I will happily talk about that too.
All right. I wonder what it could be, guys, especially with what's in your name there. You know, just probably gonna shock everybody, right?
It's Shock Lee. It'll shock Lee everyone. That's exactly what it'll be.
Ooh, that's a good term to coin. All right, good stuff. Well, I look forward to your input in a little bit, buddy. Next on to the regulars, going on with Crusader. What's going on, my man?
Oh, it's going. This week I hit 100K gamer score on Xbox. So that was exciting. I finished Plague Tale. Plague Tale is in my top 3 of the year for sure. Game is excellent. Absolutely phenomenal. And I've been kind of relaxing for the rest of the month until some stuff comes out next month, and I've been playing some Sly 3 on my PS3, and I've been playing Pokemon Black and White 2.
All right, good stuff. How is the Pokemon, anyways? Good.
I love Pokemon, so like, I'm working on a living dex right now, so I'm trying to get one of every Pokemon. I have like 700 some out of the like 900 some that there are.
Still need to get all 800 plus Spinda forms.
Yeah, it's not happening. I refuse. Blatantly refuse. But yeah, I'm very excited for Scarlet and Violet. I pre-ordered Scarlet on Friday, so really excited for that.
Nice. Ironically enough, I've been going through my old Pokemon card collection recently from like the original base deck. Ooh, I got some nice cards, man. Gotta say. Yeah, I'm tempted to get them graded, to be honest. So
yeah, you should.
I think I will sometime soon. Let's see, moving on here. Tim Dog, buddy, hey, how has the weekend been treating you? Or should I ask?
Yeah, I've been very busy. Just was at the Jets game. Was in the city in New Jersey. Just came back. Got back home about 6:30. I'm probably going to be on the show for about an hour. I told you that, or I'm going to cut it loose after a couple of topics. I got to get up very early tomorrow. But yeah, we should have a good show. Very happy to have everyone here on the panel, and let's get at it.
Indeed. Moving on here, Eric Shockley, buddy. Hey, great to see you as usual. How's things at your end?
Oh yeah, pretty good. Just ready to get into the topics today, and just trying to get back into playing some Vice City on the on the PlayStation. Been a while since I went back to it was kind of a mess. We all know at the beginning, so at the launch, but just trying to finishing up some of that trilogy. But yep, ready to get into these topics tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that launch. That was pretty icky. So hopefully things are better there. Let's see. Oh, and of course, my man from Arizona, Centurion. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Excited for tonight's topics. Excited everybody's here. People already popping in the chat. Just finally, dude, I've been actually getting some good gaming in this month. Let's see. I beat Scorn. Finally hammered out the Mass Effect remastered trilogy. Beat that. You guys told me to check it out. Well, a lot of people told me to check it out. Went and played Alan Wake and beat that. Now I'm kind of screwing around with a game called Daymare.
Oh yeah.
It's basically like an indie game of like the old school Resident Evil style games. And then I'm playing Ghostbusters Spirit Unleashed. So I've been kind of getting around.
Damn, now you got me wanting to play Alan Wake now. Oh, I love Alan Wake. Such a.
Can I be honest?
Uh-oh. Let's hear it.
Everybody says like, I'm sorry, but I don't know why, but I got to see my first exposure to Remedy was with Quantum Break, which had, don't care what anybody says, awesome story, very similar game mechanics, but awesome story, great storytelling. Then I got to play Control, which also had some great storytelling. I enjoyed playing that, and that made me intrigued to play Alan Wake. And I went and played Alan Wake, and I'm just like, this is not what I thought it would be. I mean, the gameplay was tight. The graphics were good. I played the remastered edition, but I just feel like that storytelling magic hadn't been achieved yet that I'm used to. And I know this is like one of Remedy's earlier games. So, I mean, I beat it. I played it. I enjoyed it. The story had enough in it to keep me going, but I am definitely, I'm sorry, but Quantum Break story was deeper than Alan Wake's.
You saying Barry Wheeler did not captivate you enough? Really?
You mean, well, see, that's the only thing. Like, I love, when game, especially how Remedy likes to incorporate actual real people into their games, and the way they do it. But it's kind of like, here, like when you in Quantum Break, when you would watch the television series, or basically the stuff that would take place on the television, it was his brother, and how his brother was working on the device to undo time and to do all this other crazy stuff. And then also in Control, when you would watch the little little snippets that would appear on the TV with the puppets, yeah, it was really crazy to watch, but there was like a premise behind it. When you with Alan Wake, when you would find the TV snippets for like Night Springs, I felt like no compulsion to want to watch them. It almost felt like they were completely disconnected from the game. And that's where I was just kind of shocked, because I mean, you could see a lot of stuff that they have used in later games, but in the earlier game in Alan Wake, they hadn't really found their step yet on how they were going to, for their particular style of gaming and storytelling. And that's where, I mean, Alan Wake, it was a good game, but I am definitely not going to, let's just say we all know that PlayStation bought Remedy. I'm not going to sit there and be like, going out of my damn mind if Alan Wake 2 shows up on the PlayStation and it's an exclusive. I mean, I would literally wait for that game to go on sale.
Well, I think they made a deal with Epic, if I'm not mistaken.
They have a 2-game deal with Epic and a 2-game deal with 505.
I'm just putting that out there as an example that, I mean, like, literally, if PlayStation tried to be like, we've got Alan Wake 2 as an exclusive, woo, you guys keep that over there.
Well, I'll take it. I love my Alan Wake.
I do too, yeah.
But hey, again, to each their own. That's fair. That's fair. Guys, before we get into things, I would like to let you all know, if you don't know already, that we are running a giveaway. Yes, it's for an Xbox 20th Anniversary Edition headset. Yes, that limited edition one. I think it's good looking. I think it's a really sharp headset. And you know what? It would make a really nice collector's item for, the casual collector, or just the average fan in general. But you guys want to know how to enter, right? Well, check out our Twitter. I'll leave a link. Actually, I've already left a link in the description for it. There's on a tweet there, one of the more recent tweets, you got the contest with the ways on how to enter. And the contest ends December 1st, so you guys still got lots of time, like a month's time to enter in. Perfect, just right before Christmas time. And yeah, guys, I mean, hey, get right on that. Tell all your friends about it. But before we begin, certainly share this video out and let everybody know that we're live. Also, hit the thumb, hit the like. That helps with the algorithm and so much more as more people start filing in. Okay, guys, you know what? I will not waste any more time. Let's get to some news that made the rounds. And with our first topic, earlier in the week, Xbox's Phil Spencer did an interview with the Wall Street Journal. He touched on, well, quite a few things, really, including Game Pass growth, stating that growth on the console, it was doing well, but it was starting to slow down. There's a few things else to dive in here, but Tim Budd, heading over to you first. Is the slowdown a problem for Xbox going forward, or is this something Microsoft already kind of calculated going forward?
Well, I do believe that they wanted 70. They wanted some crazy amount of number. I think 72% Game Pass growth, and they only had 28. Is this a problem? Absolutely not. They're still showing growth. They've been hit with some pretty, big delays, as we know. So I do think that some of those numbers were skewed by that, or they were potentially waiting for that. There's a lot of growth still on console. I think people, took Phil's comment and they kind of ran with it, trying to spell out doom for Xbox. But, with some of the pending deals that they have going, Call of Duty, Activision, Starfield coming out next year, I do feel that, there is a chance that they, obviously get a lot of big numbers for Game Pass. It's something where they have lofty expectations. I mean, think about it, 70% target. So, that's pretty big. And, listen, you don't spend $70 billion, even though it wasn't all about Game Pass, but you don't spend $70 billion or $7.5 billion for Bethesda if you don't believe that Game Pass is the future and it's going to be fully, vested in. So I don't think there's any problem there. I think really what Phil was getting, and I've talked to Phil about this, they just see the PC market as somewhere where they could really, get some really tremendous growth, because it's kind of like an untapped potential. And I think that that's where Phil kind of was going with those comments, but there's still a lot of room for them to, get a lot of Game Pass percentage to go up. Because, listen, as we speak, Sony still is, a good 65 to 70%, to 30% on multi-plats for the most part. If you say you draw in, 15%, make that 50-50 down the line, that's 15%. So, it's they're just not seeing the growth that they saw, obviously. And this goes with a lot of subscription models. When you first start out, you're starting from nothing. So you're getting some crazy percentages, for the first couple of years, but it does always kind of level out, and then then you're actually struggling to keep them, and it always hits the ceiling. I just think that the proposed ceiling, is not close by any means right now, and I really think that to test Game Pass and to see where it goes, and that's why you see so much fear from Sony is that, let's be honest, Game Pass is great, but if you include Call of Duty Day One and you include all of Activision games, and then you actually have their first party start to churn out, where it looks like it's going to happen next year. We went through a year where Game Pass basically carried Xbox, and they didn't have one AAA first-party exclusive, which is I don't remember a time where that ever happened with Xbox. On the flip coin on that, though, next year is going to be absolutely insane. One of the topics that's going to come down later in the show, Age of Empires. That's another AAA that they just added to the games that they're coming. So you're talking about next year is just and a lot of people are like, oh, it's a waiting game. No, next year is going to be absolutely insane for Game Pass. So for all the people that are trying to be negative about this, let's have a talk next year around the same time, and let's see where we're weighing in at that point. I really do believe next year is going to be a year that Xbox pivots and really starts to make its name, or really starts to grow at the expected rate that they want to. And that's if they get the deal done with Activision. I do believe that is absolutely humongous deal for Xbox. It will probably propel them to number one, but no means will it means they dominate the market. I just think that they'll be at the top side of revenue, and it'll be a very big move for the company. But it's a wait and see if that's going to get approved. But even if they don't, next year you're talking about 6 AAAs, maybe 7 or 8 with global publishing, and it's going to be crazy. So.
All right. Yeah, because there was a lot of doom and gloom, people nitpicking what he was saying, and
I don't care, to be honest.
Yeah, and really, I mean, he's saying, okay, yeah, it's natural, because again, you're gonna hit eventually you're gonna start hitting a bit of a wall, because you're gonna hit a lot of the people who, we're gonna get Game Pass anyways, and really, actually, we're seeing a lot of growth on the PC version of Game Pass. I think 159% year over year, which is a pretty good number overall. So. I don't know, just to kind of nitpick at what Phil says. I mean, it's just kind of trivial, I'd say. Phil, again, there was a lot of interesting statistics Phil brought up. Phil says that Game Pass is something like 10 to 15% of the overall revenue now that they generate, which is interesting.
Content and services, specifically.
Yeah, content and services, yeah. Crusader, what's your thoughts on this? Because again, to me, it's just nitpicking. But I don't know, I don't see Game Pass I mean, they say, oh yeah, slowing down, but the numbers are still coming in pretty good.
The slowing down part is the key, because a lot of people have been using the word it's plateaued, and that's not the case. A plateau in financial math would imply that the rate at which you're going up has hit 0, right? You are a flat line. If you're on a graph, you're a flat line, right? This implies that the slope is just closer to being a flat line than being a vertical line. And that's important to note, because what's implicitly being saying is, right, because he's not saying that it's plateaued. He's not saying it's halted, it's slowed. And he said that, look, with the current console install base, we've hit a saturation point. But hitting a saturation point would imply a plateau. So implicitly, there has to be some kind of other source of subscribers still coming in, and where that is coming in is from new console owners, right? People who are still buying their Series S and X's, because that certainly has not hit a saturation point. And this console, according to both Phil in this interview and Satya Nadella on LinkedIn, have both stated that uh, released to current life, the Series X and S are the best-selling Xbox consoles ever. Right? None of the other 3 generations of Xbox consoles have hit the number of sales that the Xbox consoles are hitting right now. Right? And that's in a year with, frankly, no exclusive launches. Why? Well, and how are they doing that? Well, Game Pass is their best exclusive. I've said it before. Other people have said it before. And so we're seeing record sales of the consoles, and that's where the continued growth on console is going to come from. Of course, that's going to be slower than your current base, because your current base is what, like 60 million, somewhere 50, 60 million Xbox Ones, plus the 15 to 20 million were somewhere in there. It's somewhere in, we don't have exact numbers, so somewhere in that range, Xbox Series S and X is sold. So they've probably hit the saturation point of how many consumers directly they can hit with Game Pass as it is right now on that base. So the new subs, at least on the console side, are going to be coming in from new owners and people who are upgrading, and when they upgrade, they want to get access to a bunch of stuff to play immediately. So so that's where you're seeing the growth right now, at least on console side. That's why it hasn't plateaued. If you hear someone saying it's plateaued, they are incorrect. It is slowed. And that's fine. Again, expected to happen. Without all of the numbers they have, because they give out as many numbers as they need to satiate their investors. They would give out more if the investors actually wanted more. They don't. They don't care. And so in that regard, I think it's all doing just fine. I thought it was very interesting that he said that it makes up somewhere between 10 to 15% of their content and services overall revenue coming in, right? Game Pass makes up approximately 10 to 15% of that. And I thought that was very interesting because he followed that up by saying that they never see a future where the ratio of content and services within their division is significantly higher than that. It'll always be somewhere in the 10 to 15 to 20% range. And that has been something that I've been saying. I haven't been saying it directly, but I have been saying it implicitly, that is a target of theirs. They don't necessarily want all of their revenue coming from Game Pass. They want Game Pass to grow linearly, like 1-to-1 essentially, with the rest of the growth of their base. And that's because Game Pass, they don't make all of the revenue that they generate from a customer who's on Game Pass from Game Pass. And that's something that's very confusing to people who compare this to other services like Netflix or, say, Spotify or something like that. And that's because Game Pass has a lot of implicit money that it makes, as opposed to the explicit sub cost, right? It implicitly makes money through the sale of MTX for the games that are in it, like like Halo or Gears of War or Sea of Thieves or stuff like that. And then it also implicitly makes sales whenever games leave Game Pass, right? Because you can still buy all of the games, and when they leave and you want to own it to keep it, you can buy it and they make 30%. Or as a customer that they've acquired, they've acquired you as a customer essentially when you've come over to get Game Pass on Xbox. You're also buying like most of the hit games of the year that aren't on Game Pass on Xbox, right? There's a high chance that they've converted you into a customer who's doing that. So you're buying the FIFAs, the Maddens, the Elden Rings, the whatever happens to be the hit games of the year, right? They'll have enough on Game Pass that you will be subscribed to Game Pass forever. But they're not going to go beyond making it a deal that is impossible to skip. They don't want everything in it because they want to sell you these other things. And Phil Spencer has basically confirmed this as a strategy, that they will make Game Pass an impossible to skip service so that 15 to 20% of their revenue are coming from it. But they aren't going to go so far as to completely shift the entire industry to being in the services. In fact, they don't want that. They want they want revenue from direct game sales from their third parties. They still want customers to buy their games if they don't want to be on Game Pass. And they've shown that they basically want this to be just settle into their overall revenue ecosystem, their overall Xbox ecosystem, rather than attempting to significantly replace the way that the industry works. They want it to fit in as a new just medium of how you play games, because they recognize that people like to buy games. Like, there are people who like to go out and buy games. There are people who like to buy games on console. There are people who like to buy games on PC. There are people who like to stream their games on cloud. And it's very important that they are structuring it in this way, I think, because it alleviates a lot of concerns that people have, that they aren't planning at any time to move away from direct sales, because it's just as important to them as Game Pass. And so I think that is the actual big news from this interview that a lot of people are missing, is that they don't expect Game Pass to eclipse everything else that they do. They expect it to slot in very nicely alongside everything that they do and exist in kind of like a balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I agree with you, because again, not everybody's gonna want to invest, in a service. It might be, maybe somebody just doesn't want to have all that, content. People have reasons for different things, right? So they have the options.
Well, the companies might not want to either, right? Not every third party is necessarily going to put their game in Game Pass, and Microsoft's expecting that, and they're actually betting on that there are some games that aren't going to be in the service, and they want the sale of those games, right? The sale of your Elden Rings, right? Elden Ring probably was never going to launch in Game Pass, but they want the sale of Elden Ring to happen on Xbox and not somewhere else. And so Game Pass acts as the gateway drug for the user to be in Xbox, right? Because you're getting all that good stuff. But then the stuff that's not in it, it's like, well, I'll buy it on Xbox. You know what I mean? That's the plan, and that is what he is saying implicitly by saying that 15% of their content and services is what Game Pass is now and likely will be forever. It'll just grow, right? 15% I think he said something along the lines of 15% of a larger number in the future is a larger number. So they expect Game Pass to grow, but they expect it to grow alongside everything else.
All right. Fair comment. Yeah, no, again, it was interesting, again, Phil talking about that. And I agree with you, they're not reliant just on one thing. They have again, I like to use the term like multi-pronged approach to things right now. And with their revenue stream, the way it's looking, I mean, yeah, they're not just reliant on a couple of things. It's coming from a variety of different avenues, per se. Now, Dots, do you agree with what Crusader's saying here?
No, I don't agree with anything Crusader ever has to say at any situation.
Well, probably, yeah.
just out of spite. It has nothing to do with the words he said. No, I definitely agree with that. I honestly only watched like 3/4 of the interview, but I got the big gist of it. And it was really good. As much as I always keep hearing, at all of these FTC and other commissions about the Activision Blizzard acquisition, hearing Phil Spencer personally say, we are not out to do this. We are not out to, take away the rights from PlayStation users and all that stuff. Just hearing him say that, and at least in my opinion, it was very sincere. Really just, makes me keep rooting. It just keeps making me root in his favor, because, I think Phil Spencer's a great guy, and I think he has a lot of good visionary aspects in the business world. I think that I think it's a breath of fresh air to see once again a face of a video game company come out as, a genuine good person. I mean, Reggie, when he was with Nintendo, was that person. And I love seeing that. And obviously, I don't see that with Sony, and I don't see that with current Nintendo very well. But seeing that was really nice. In terms for Game Pass, yeah, everything that Crusader said I don't agree with, but no, it made sense. Yeah, no, the it's slowing down, but there's a reason because everyone who wants it has it. I'm actually really curious about how those numbers are going to fluctuate up or down because of whenever the family friend version comes out for sharing Game Pass. I'm curious. It will likely technically bring the numbers of them down, but in the same retrospect, it's just going to be the same cost. They might lose some money in the deal when people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna take off my Game Pass," and then three of my friends are gonna just merge into one. So I'll be really curious to see how the numbers are impacted after that all goes out. In the end, Microsoft and Xbox is still going to keep winning with that because that's going to be such a great deal, and that's just going to be such a great like thing to allow. Because I'm probably the only person on this panel who doesn't have Game Pass, but once the family friend deal goes out, I will because Crusader's going to give me his, and he has
True.
no say in it.
That is
So
true.
so and it's not that I have any opposition to Game Pass personally. I'm unlike Crusader. I really like laser focus on maybe 3 games at a time. I do not see a reason to pay for, and this is my personal thing. I don't see a reason to pay for a subscription that I unfortunately would not use because I don't play different games like every week. I play the same 3 games nonstop. So, but hey, I would love to have Game Pass when, especially for those day one releases. If whenever the sharing plan goes out. But no, I the interview from what I saw was great. I am super optimistic for the future of Game Pass and Microsoft and just Xbox in general. Really, honestly, like while I mostly play on Xbox PC or just PC in general, I actually every time I see the news articles like this and these interviews and just how well they're doing, it really tempts me to get an Xbox Series S or even an X just because it's like, you know, the world of console is not going anywhere and it's strong, and Xbox and Microsoft is making it stronger with them, and I love that. I want to support that because of how good it makes me feel to see this stuff happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, Phil touched on, well, a few different things in the conversation. He also mentioned, like, possible console, game, and even subscription price increases. Um, Basically hinting at they're kind of unavoidable at this point. I don't. Do you see, like, a bump coming in the near future?
I think that's unfortunately just the way of economics and
Mm-hmm.
inflation and whatnot. Um, Especially if their numbers are going down just because of everyone has it, or even and they might have to do it because of if they want to keep up and keep their promise with their family plan. That would not surprise me. It's like we know we are going to lose 5 Game Pass subscriptions for one family plan. Like that just seems all but logical that they would have to make some sort of price increase to, you know, compensate for technically a loss on their end. But in the end, like obviously for us people, if we're using the split plan, we're still paying less than a full Game Pass to, I'm paying out. I'm just paying Taco Bell for Crusader. Other
So true.
people might be trading, their Jordans for Game Pass for a year with their friends, or
Yeah.
you know, stupid stuff. Or you have that one friend who's literally, I'm going to have this Game Pass no matter what. I don't mind paying the extra $5, and now I forget how many they said might be allowed on the family plan, but it's like, I just have my friends that I love and care for, and I want to play games with them. I'm just going to give it to them for free because I don't care paying the extra $5. I have disposable income that I'm not spending on $60 games every week, and so it's still a win for the gamer, even at a slight price increase. And Microsoft's honestly taking the hit, and the fact that Phil Spencer is being like, hey, we might be taking this loss, but it's for the customer. We very customer centric, business model, and that's fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well
I,
said. Go ahead.
Games increase in 2023. I think they go to 70 in 2023. Um, they'll match the industry with that, and I don't think Game Pass increases until 2024. I maybe longer. I believe that there will be one of the consent decrees will be a price freeze on Game Pass for 18 months. I believe that that will be a consent decree that they will have with the FTC or CMA or something. That they have to promise not to price hike the thing right after getting Activision Blizzard.
Oh yeah.
So I suspect that Game Pass will go up in late 2023 or early 2024. And I really think it'll be like $1 or $2. Like it'll go up enough that they'll make a little bit more per person, and they'll make a lot more in general. And there a lot of people talk that there will probably also be like the $25 tier that Dots has been talking about of Game Pass, the family plan. So it's essentially like a 1 and 2/3 cost for 5 people. That is also like an indirect price increase because the goal there is to get more money out of users than they could if the tier didn't exist. And so like per user it's technically less, but overall it's more. They expect some potential different tiers that they do different stuff in. I could even see a tier above, like a restructured name, and maybe a tier above, either a tier above Ultimate, or they change up how Ultimate works and they include DLCs in it or something like that, in order to get more people to move up to a higher tier, because that's an implicit price increase where they instead of directly increasing the price on all consumers, they make the highest tier more essential, so to speak. And so there's a lot of ways that they can increase prices, both directly and indirectly, that might not even make consumers mad. Because like the family plan is technically a price increase, right? It's $25, but it's also cheaper per user, so it's also like a price decrease. So like everyone kind of wins there. So I expect things like that. If they make the consoles more expensive, I'll be pissed. You don't make hardware
They're
more
not going to
expensive.
do that.
You don't make hardware more expensive 3 years into the
They're
goddamn
not going to
generation.
do that.
I'll be pissed.
I do think that there'll become a time where they come up to the $70 price point. I think that's just a matter of time. And listen, as far as the Twitter family, I don't know. I hope we can hear about something soon, because it's been pretty much like 2 months now, I think, since we learned about it. It went active in different countries, but I would love to find out if they're actually going to go ahead. I mean, I do think that they're going to go ahead through with it, but
It's live in 2 countries fully. It's
yeah, I don't know why though that they haven't talked about it, or maybe announced some plans for it. Maybe they're going to wait for the holiday or right before the holiday. But
that would be an awesome holiday deal, right? Like,
yeah.
get a Series S in the family plan, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I already I think family plan's a very smart thing, just because I know personally, one of the things that I've done throughout my family, and I'm always that guy that they call up for the Twitter password, not Twitter password, for the Netflix password, is I do share my accounts. So something like that for other people, and they would get ultimate features like cloud and stuff like that. Really would really push them to get closer to their goals of 3 billion gamers. But it's just very beneficial for the consumer, I think. So I kind of think it's crazy that it's been talked about, but I just hope that they do it sooner rather than later. The holiday would be really nice to get the announcement.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're doing it in markets where they can test it and find out essentially exactly how to price it, just to make sure that they got the economic math correct, the actuarial math, if you will, the risk assessments to see what they should price it at. I think that's more of what they are. They're looking at the data and the analytics to make sure that they're pricing it at just the right point. Would be my opinion on it.
I think 25 is very fair.
Yeah.
So I hope that they go with it. I mean, you could be real creative.
Even 30 wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah, you could even get away with that. It's possible. But, you could be real creative. Let's say that you're a bunch of friends and, there's friend groups, or even just say like even a podcast, you know what I mean? Everyone chips in $5 a month and you banning up the accounts and, you have five guys on the cloud playing Xbox Game Pass. But I think it's a very smart way for them to, like I said, to reach their goals, because $3 billion is a lofty goal, and it's going to take a long time to hit that. But family plan is definitely a smart idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and I concur. Like, honestly, that is a very smart way going forward. I would love to hear more about that in the near future. So, I mean, hey, the way that they're so gung-ho about Game Pass and pushing it everywhere, I wouldn't be surprised if we do get some details, very soon anyways. Centurion, but I know you've been patiently waiting here to chime in. Got any thoughts on what Phil's been saying?
I've got a lot of thoughts on it. So for starters, while it's on the top of my head, the Crusader, everybody that thinks they're not going to hike the price on the console, I'm sorry, but that's probably, there's a good chance it's going to happen. And this is where, at least for what I do, I have my ear pretty close to the ground when it comes to shipping and logistics, not only in the United States, but also worldwide. I mean, I get to have the benefit of dealing with some nice people that actually live and work in China, and I coordinate stuff with them. I remember when the pandemic first started, and I was warning everybody that there was going to be severe shortages that were going to last a god-awful long amount of time, and Tim Dog can vouch for me on this. A lot of people thought I was crazy, and then after 12 months, they realized I wasn't joking around.
You were right.
So the big problem is right now is there is a very big situation brewing in the United States, at least in my industry. So currently in my industry, for certain products, when a customer asks me to custom build them a product, I have to basically put a disclaimer in front of them that they have to sign that says that we will not guarantee the price. And it takes about 2 months to build. The scary situation with that is I had a customer flip out on me because they basically told me that it's bullshit and that they're not going to sign for a product that they're going to be on the line for, that I can't guarantee the price. And it has to do with the shipping industry, because right now there's a big problem with getting a hold of materials. And the other situation is right now, the union over in the LA port of entry is getting ready to divide in half between the older generation that is getting ready to retire out of the union and the newer generation that's going to be hired into the union. There's two sets of rules, and the newer generation is having big problems right now with this, and they're getting ready to have a strike probably sometime in about March, April, maybe May. So right now they're actually shunting deliveries from the LA port of entry, basically into the Gulf of Mexico and unloading in Texas. So now we're going from a logistics, shipping something that's only 300-400 miles away to a logistics nightmare that now you have to ship the same materials from someplace that's 3,000 miles away. I'm really worried that the console is going to be one of the things they're going to raise the price on, and it's not going to be because of materials, not because of labor or anything like that. It's going to be primarily because of how unstable the shipping industry is worldwide. And then when it comes to Game Pass, we all know that when they first came out with Game Pass with these great deals, like, pay $1 for this or get this many months for free, that was the entry level phase of bringing a subscription service to market. And now we're going to see that subscription service transition from an entry level phase where you're establishing your consumer to where now, like Phil Spencer says, we have established our market. We know where we're at in the market. We know what percentages we're going to be aiming for. Obviously, like Crusader pointed out, we haven't plateaued yet, but we are seeing some slowing. So now we're going to start shifting into that next phase, which is basically where you start being like, regretfully, like what Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, other subscription services have done when they've gotten past that entry level phase where they start boosting the price up. This is inevitable with Game Pass. We knew this was going to be inevitable because we saw when they tried to raise the price of Xbox Live. There's even rumors that Xbox Live is going to go hopefully free. It's going to become antiquated, and they're going to start putting a lot of their focus towards Game Pass. But I do think that there is going to be a time where they're going to really push the consumer into, you either are part of Game Pass and what we have to offer, or you're going to pay a very high exorbitant price just to have online access if they don't by some chance make it free. And I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. It's just, you got to get the consumer to let go of Xbox Live. So there's a couple ways of doing that. And, raising the price on Xbox Live is one of them. At least with this whole situation with Game Pass and with what Phil Spencer is talking about, it's good to see that Microsoft has made a lot of headway since 2017, when the concept of Game Pass was like, like a WTF moment, when somebody would talk about it to be like, well, wait a minute, you're going to offer all these games for this little bit of money, and you're going to include your first party studio releases day and date in the service, and plus other third party studio releases day and date. This is completely impossible. They've shown the world that this is possible. If they get this deal to go through with Activision, this is going to be a big leap ahead in establishing Game Pass as the premier brand of subscription services in gaming. It's also going to set the bar for other companies to be like, this is where you need to aim. Don't come in and try to half-ass it like Google at this point. I mean, it's good to see though that Phil Spencer is having these conversations. He's getting out ahead of it now. He's not just gonna let it be like a freaking, like a fucked up magic show, like at freaking over on Sony, where all of a sudden, surprise, the console's more expensive. Surprise, games are more expensive. He's at least trying to get ahead of it now, and he's trying to warn customers that this is potentially something that could happen in the future. And it's not because Microsoft is money hungry and they're greedy and they're $1 trillion company that just wants more money. They're affected by the same situations in this world as other companies. Yes, they could probably absorb a lot more of it, and they have been doing a good job of that. I was championing months ago, before PlayStation even raised the price of the console, that I was championing both Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation, all three of them, that they were actually not raising their price when literally, I mean, some companies have been raising their prices astronomic levels for certain products. I mean, inflation has literally bit the world economy in the ass. And a lot of tech companies have done a good job of absorbing a lot of these costs. And now at this point in time, they can't keep doing this forever. They have their way of doing business and their percentages that they want to hit. So it's starting to come to that point where, they're going to have to start passing some of this cost on to the consumer, regrettably.
Well, there has been some employee cuts too, even with Microsoft. So, I guess, eventually a price uptick was coming, right, because of inflation. So just a gradual thing, unfortunately, because of the time we're in right now. But I see what you're saying, and honestly, Centurion, you're offering a very interesting perspective. Very interesting, in fact. Speak about interesting perspective. Shockley, I mean, I would love to know your thoughts on some of the stuff Phil was saying here. Do you agree with what the guys on the panel are saying? Do you have any other thoughts on, like, you know, what he said about the growth of Game Pass and, possible price hikes to subscription, console, and games? Shockley? I don't know if you're muted, bud. Let's see.
I talked him to sleep.
Probably. No more or less. Knows. But, all right. Well, wait for Shockley to come back. But, anyways, guys, any other thoughts on the panel from this Wall Street Journal interview? Because, again, I thought it was pretty intriguing, some of the little tidbits Phil was talking about. And even some of the Call of Duty stuff Phil was saying, like, what was it, like, keeping Call of Duty on PlayStation as long as it makes sense. He wants to put it on the Switch. I don't know. I just thought that there was some interesting commentary here. Like, a lot of people have been speculating, is Call of Duty, eventually when some of the existing contracts go, will Call of Duty be exclusive, not exclusive, other Activision games?
I like how everybody kind of wants to go down that road of like, when the contracts run out, then it's going to go exclusive, or they start making all these hypotheticals on like why Microsoft would make it exclusive to their benefit. And here's one hypothetical situation that nobody has thrown out there yet. But what if PlayStation captures lightning in a bottle and creates a multiplayer experience that the PlayStation fan base absolutely love? It is an exclusive to PlayStation and is outpacing Call of Duty.
There's a big chance that PlayStation makes it multi-platform.
well, I'm just saying, but that then makes sense that if PlayStation has their own game that is now outpacing Call of Duty, and the PlayStation community is no longer interested in Call of Duty on the PlayStation, then you could see a chance where it makes sense to actually have Call of Duty exclusive to the Xbox, and it had nothing to do with trying to screw over PlayStation. It was just because PlayStation found a way to compete, and they found a way to outdo Call of Duty.
Yeah, it would have to. Call of Duty's sales on the platform would have to plummet. I would agree with you if the Call of Duty sales were to actually plummet, because until there is not money to be had selling Call of Duty everywhere, they're going to. He even talked about it in this interview about he'd love to see it on Switch. They want to bring it to Switch.
That's right.
They use the cloud to bring it to
No,
Switch.
I'm all for it. Staying multiplat. I'm in camp multiplat all the way.
So to pull it from a platform would mean that either there's a technical limitation that they can't put it on the platform, which realistically doesn't exist because they could just make a cloud version of the game, right? Like, they have that power. They have between, they could spin it up on unofficial xCloud blades that it switch over and use the like the button mappings from the system that they're on. You know what I mean? Like that could easily be done. So it would either have to be a technical limitation, which they won't have, or it would have to be that it is not financially viable to put it on that system anymore. Because the games are, I've been saying it for months, the games are there on marketplaces, and he's basically said that, all to himself, that like the larger games that they acquire that are that echo themselves like Minecraft or Call of Duty, they'll be multi-platform. If I had to guess, if they decide to bring World of Warcraft to consoles, they'll bring it to both. They'll probably bring it to Xbox first, right? Because they'll develop the Xbox version first. But I would be shocked to hear that they weren't also bringing it to literally Switch and PlayStation as well, because it's big enough that that it makes sense to put it more places. That's why I tell people to really think about the ZeniMax Online's next game, and I expect it to be everywhere, right? And I think that, unfortunately, I think if they had that game out and ready to be announced and stuff by now, they would be using that as CMA, or as an argument against the CMA, saying, no, we look at our games and on a case-by-case basis think about what we should do with them. Because I don't believe Phil was lying when he said that they were looking at the games through all their acquisitions on a case-by-case basis. I think that was very genuine, that they're going to look at the game and be like, well, would this game be better with a significantly larger audience to bring us a revenue base that like could just be that like the cost analysis, the cost of putting it more places versus the cost of making it exclusive, right? Like, because those both have costs that are either explicit money costs or implicit money that can't be garnered costs. Starfield going exclusive makes sense because it's a game that you sell once and that's it, right? Maybe you sell some DLC for it, maybe you don't, but it's not Call of Duty. There's no real loss to making it on a single to removing a platform from it. But when you remove Call of Duty from PlayStation, there's a gigantic loss because it's an annualized franchise and it's B a gigantic store in and of itself that like almost eclipses some of the other like stores themselves, right? Like the Call of Duty store in general makes like I think on PlayStation alone makes $1 billion a year or something stupid, and so you have to look at the cost analysis of like, does it make sense to not put this everywhere? And you're gonna see, and Phil's talked about this in other interviews where he said that you're going to see more multiplayer games basically everywhere. You're going to see less timed exclusives. You're certainly going to see less console exclusives. Even PlayStation said that they don't plan to make any of their live service games on PlayStation alone. They'll be on PC too, at the very least. PlayStation's also, they acquired Bungie and they renewed an MLB contract that says that they'll be multi-platform, right? So like you see this concept with these large bespoke games that they're going to be everywhere, right? It's just an industry concept. And I think people keep failing to grasp that unless the game won't make money somewhere when it comes to a service game or a multiplayer game that benefits from a huge player base and a huge amount of people to buy in the store, that unless for some reason it's failing somewhere, it's going to be everywhere, right? And Call of Duty is just the talk of the day because they're trying to buy the company, right? But look at Minecraft. Minecraft, it makes total sense to have it everywhere. Minecraft Realms makes like $500,000 a year or $500 million a year. You know what I mean?
Well, what was BS was the CMA came out and tried to basically insinuate that because Xbox has the backing of the $1 trillion monster known as Microsoft, they could potentially want to make Call of Duty exclusive and take that loss. And when I heard that, I was like, that's straight BS because honestly, that's a lot of money to just kiss off. And I'm sorry, but Microsoft is proud of Xbox, but they ain't that damn proud where they're going to frickin', oh yeah, we don't need them to make that kind of money. BS, that's absolute crap.
I will say this, 2000s Microsoft, early 2000s Microsoft may have done it.
Right? Perhaps.
the Netscape, the anti-Netscape, the Internet Explorer, the thing that almost got Microsoft brought up, that Microsoft probably would have thrown their weight and done that. You know what I mean? And so, again, it's just they need the shit in writing that says, we aren't going to do this. And I think they would give it in writing that says, we aren't going to remove this specifically because of that. We would only remove it. And again, I think you're right. The case where they would remove it is if the actual return on the investment of porting it there is not at a revenue percentage that they would want to hit.
And the only way that would be possible is if Sony created a game that generated the revenue, basically generated hype and revenue loss for that to happen.
It would have to be so good that people aren't playing Call of Duty at all anymore on PlayStation.
They would basically have to, like I said, the lightning in a bottle, or what I call the Fortnite effect, where you just create a game mode that takes the entire world by storm.
The entire combination of all live service franchises, and there's a lot of very popular live service franchises that have come out, but the entire combination of them, including Fortnite, GTA 5, and Apex, right? And Destiny, haven't been able to do that. You know what I mean? So it's a situation that could happen. I don't believe it's possible. I do not believe it is possible to destroy Call of Duty. Lessen it, sure. But destroy it, I legitimately, if that game comes out, that will be the only video game that I will play because it has to be fucking good.
All right.
You know what I mean? I'd have to see what could do that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it is a possibility. You're not wrong. That is a genuine case that would counter my argument.
All right. No, good thoughts, guys. Good thoughts. Shockley there, buddy.
Oh yeah, sorry. I think my
Oh, no worries. No
headset
worries.
had
Yeah.
died.
Yeah, no, I'd love your thoughts just to like round out the group here. Obviously, again, the panel we had a diverse, bunch of opinions here on the matter. Like, I don't know, what's your take here? Do you agree with what the panel's saying, or on what like Phil's commentary from the Wall Street Journal interview, or you got anything else to add to it?
Yeah, no, agree with pretty much most of what's been said. I know people I think were taking too much about that they might have to like raise prices. Like it's not really the same as like the whole $70 price increase that was like 2 years ago during the pandemic when we had when gas was cheap as hell and we didn't have massive inflation.
Mm-hmm.
um, Whereas like you know look at the gas where I am, it's more than probably like double what it was during that time when they were raising those game prices. Um, so naturally, that's eventually, going to happen, especially with how just manufacturing in general, like chip shortages and all that shit. So that's naturally, if the way that just keeps going, they're going to have to adjust for that eventually. But I did notice the thing going around about the line in the Wall Street Journal interview about them trying to make the correlation of, well, you charge 30% on the Microsoft Store, but you were, joining in with Epic, saying how like, their situation was unfair. Although that situation, in my opinion, is a little different because Apple was giving Amazon a better deal. I think their percentage was a little bit lower than the 30% cut, which no one else was getting but Amazon. So they were kind of making it not fair to their competitors. So in that situation, whereas like Microsoft is going to be a set, 30%. Now, obviously, the Game Pass, they might have different deals because you're going to come into Game Pass with a different agenda of what you want to use it for. So you're going to make a specific deal of like, hey, I want to go buy my game's just like a Plague's Tale where you just beat it in 8 to 10 hours. Man, you're not going back to it again. Where you put in a game like Monster Hunter World, you're going to go back and play that game over and over. So the playtime ratio is going to be different. So you kind of have to figure out those different metrics of what's fair. So that line, them trying to kind of get him with a kind of just like catch him on that line of like, hey, well, you guys were agreeing with this. Not really the same, at least in my opinion. But I was trying to see because I didn't catch all of that. I just kind of caught a little bit of that interview. But the Game Pass thing, I think naturally that's as far as the growth, they've probably got to the point like they were stating before, that saturation point with existing Xbox One, and now the big boost of Series S, Series X consoles. After that first like pandemic year and the year following, so now it's going to be kind of that, not that it's so much slowed down. It's just there's not Game Pass isn't on, PlayStation, so they don't have whereas Game Pass was like really catching its stride, where people were learning about it during especially pandemic year, and that's when they're also, actually putting a lot of focus on it and a lot of spending on like, hey, let's get some new games that drop in there day one that are third parties like Plague's Tale and a few others. So early on in Game Pass, it wasn't all that great. But as years went by, they kept getting some heavy hitters. So, but naturally, they've reached, pretty much their saturation point on console. But like they pointed out in PC, since they have like not an infinite number, but they have a huge ocean of like gamers on PC that they can keep, growing with their focus on their PC centric games like Age of Empires and things like that. Although I don't know if Are those on Game Pass? The more of the PC games,
Yes.
like Age of Empires. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, like focusing on stuff like that, and especially if this deal goes through with Activision, and they have like, if they can get some of those Blizzard games on Game Pass, then I'm sure like the growth is going to explode even more on PC, because people would love to like have, just instead of a WoW subscription, I'll just get Game Pass, and then they'd all be on Game Pass.
Uniquely, there's actually one mobile game on Game Pass on mobile. It's technically not on Game Pass, so to speak. It's the like the solitaire games and stuff that you can download and play on PC.
Yeah.
The solitaire collection in specific, if you have Game Pass and you sign in with your Xbox account, you actually get an ad-free version. And you get the premium version, which gives you like all of the backgrounds and stuff that the game has. So they're probably going to even leverage King when it comes to that to that degree. Oh, yeah. So like you'll get like an ad-free version of Candy Crush, right? That'd be really big. You get the ad-free version of Candy Crush, and maybe they'll give you so many gems or some shit a month. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Plus the perks.
There's a lot they can do in that space.
Like,
There's a lot they can do in that space.
Think about the perks that you can get with Game Pass Ultimate, right? Like, you could do so much. Because they don't lose anything giving you $5 worth of gems in a mobile game a month, right? In fact, they'll probably make more money doing that, because they'll give you just enough that you can't buy exactly what you want, so they'll make a little sale. You know what I mean? Then that's the strategy. Over a couple months, you'll be able to buy stuff on your own, but they kind of get you hooked. You know what I mean? And you can say that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's a good thing, because I buy microtransaction shit in a lot of games. But
I think it's funny that everybody wants to bank the future success of Game Pass on the ABK deal. When honestly, if we just look at the studios they have now, if and when they start firing on all cylinders and they are dropping content, we're talking like Starfield, Redfall, and these are already studios under the banner. We're not talking about ABK. That's where it's like a plateau would insinuate that Game Pass is already peaked and it's at that flat line, like you said, Crusader. They're just slow right now because they're waiting for those games to start hitting, and then you're going to start seeing subscriptions go up again, because the interest for Game Pass is going. That's the one thing about any subscription service. Interest comes and goes. It comes in waves, and then it leaves in swaths, and then another wave of interest comes. And it's just going to be like a revolving door for some people, and for other people, it's just going to be that almighty gym membership where you just leave that thing running and you just come and go to the service when it has your interest.
It'll be interesting. I'd love to see what the churn rate is. That's essentially the metric that describes users coming and going, like how many are coming and leaving a month versus how many you're gaining, right? Because like the percentage increase is the net gain, right? But like you don't know how many users are actually leaving versus how many users are resubbing, if that makes sense, during that month. And so I'd love to know what their churn rate is, because you're right, the churn rate is probably pretty good right now, like pretty high. I mean, not good, it's probably pretty high right now. And I would assume that the churn rate will in fact normalize a bit when they get on par. The ABK deal is critical for mobile more than anything. And a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it's true. King is
definitely.
King is the motivator. Followed, but in all honesty, I actually believe Call of Duty is the least important thing for Microsoft's business plan from this. And that sounds hilarious, right? That Call of Duty is the least important thing, but I think it's true, because they're seeing their highest growth segment right now in where are they seeing it? Where do they say they were seeing it? PC. What does Blizzard do?
Yeah.
PC, right? They are PC foremost, and then they bring some stuff to console. And
if you look at a lot of the interviews with Phil Spencer, he barely mentioned Call of Duty. He's always talking about, like you say, PC and mobile. It's like everybody else keeps bringing up Call of Duty, and Microsoft has just not been mentioning Call of Duty as much as everybody thinks.
Well, it's because they like, I honestly think they don't. Yeah, Call of Duty is going to be great for console Game Pass, right? But if they're already saturated on console, then they don't really need Call of Duty for console, right? You know what I mean? Like that's they'll put it on because of their commitment to put everything on, right? But I really believe him when he says it's not the driving force of the acquisition. Why? Because their largest growth sector right now is PC. So let's get one of the best, historically the best thing. It may have been the greatest in recent years, but they can fix that because they have like Microsoft itself can fix that, and they have these great PC IPs. Like Dots here loves StarCraft, right? They would own StarCraft after this, and they'll own WoW, and they'll own all of Warcraft and all that good stuff with Blizzard, and like they'll have a company to grow PC with. You know what I mean? And then mobile, they'll have King. And we know they want to grow on mobile. Did you see that they said that they want to break up the duopoly that is Google and Apple by opening their own app store? Did you see that report?
Yeah, I saw that.
And King does that.
Yes, and keep in mind too, even with Bethesda, they got Hearthstone as well.
They'd get Hearthstone with and that's on mobile and PC. Maybe they could bring it to console. Why is Hearthstone not on console?
Yeah, hey, there's a thing.
Why it would do well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure
Any chance Diablo hits Game Pass?
I mean,
it's not a
it will the day the deal
game,
closes.
but
who knows if it'll be in time.
Mm-hmm.
When's it supposed to drop?
It's supposed to drop in quarter 1 or 2 next year.
Yeah,
it could, because remember Obsidian, they owned Obsidian at that time, but technically they weren't the publisher of Outer Worlds, which went in the Game Pass.
But they owned the IP, so they could technically just release their own version as the publisher of it as well. It wouldn't have made, and neither company wanted to deal with the anger that either company would get, so they put it on Game Pass, right? It's called a day. But yeah, no, Diablo 4 could drop on Game Pass day 1 if
that'd be a nice
if the deal goes through. Otherwise, it'll drop upon the day that the deal closes, which that's why I would, if I was an Xbox fan and I want to play Diablo 4, I would suck it up and not play day 1, unless you are going to buy it, because there are people who buy games, the games that they're playing on Game Pass because they get the discount, right? And that's fine. If you're buying and you are dead set on playing day 1, then get it and play it on day 1. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to tell you you're a dumb person or anything like that. But I personally would not buy Diablo because it's going to go on Game Pass relatively soon after, if it doesn't launch on it, if the deal goes through.
Right. Yeah. No, actually, very interesting conversations having here. Guys, I think on that note, we'll start to move things over to the next topic. But I gotta say, I mean, we could go on and on about this interview. There was a lot to kind of extract from it, but I thought we had a pretty good conversation regarding Phil's comments in any case. Guys in the chat, please let us know, what your thoughts are of the interview and also all the other topics. If you haven't done so already, please give this a like and share this out across social media. And hey, if you're a new face here, sub to the channel. Next up, guys, we're going to move into talking about some Age of Empires. And earlier this week, we had the anniversary stream for the franchise. And hey, you know what? It came with many nice surprises. Let's see. Well, the big one being, of course, Age of Empires 2 and 4 making their way to Xbox consoles next year, to the thrill of many Xbox owners and RTS fans in general. Speaking of which, Dots RTS Bud, I'll pick on you for this, of course, because, hey, you're the RTS man here. I know you live and breathe RTS games. What do you think of, like, the anniversary stream and just Age of Empires coming to Xbox consoles, finally?
Wow. So, I very much enjoyed the stream. Minus the weird, like, little 3D map vote battles they did, but I mean, I guess, sort of for watcher interaction and whatnot. But no, I very much enjoyed the stream. I'm really happy about was it Age of Empires 2 HD and Age of Empires 4 hitting console Game Pass. That's awesome. I cannot wait to, and mostly cross-play for that, because while I'm definitely going to continue to play my RTSs on my mouse and keyboard on my computer, I will love to, more people to play RTSs with is always a win. It doesn't matter where, who, or what. That's always just a win for everyone in the RTS community. I think that the choice of the two games is a great idea. 2 is iconic in the Age franchise, and obviously 4 is the current one, and they want to keep putting out the current. I was actually having this conversation with Crusader earlier about the fact that that 1 and 3 aren't going on it, and it kind of made sense. It kind of didn't, at least with Age of Empires 1. I think that one is just too simplistic. I think that that's really only the true Age of Empires diehards really play 1 anymore. If you want the iconic experience of Age of Empires, most people just hop to 2, and then if they want to play the current, they play 4. To me, it makes sense why they didn't do 3. 3 is a very different game, and how it plays is very unique. And I think it would be difficult to port that. Not impossible, just a little bit more difficult than the others to port it to console out the gate, because there's the whole thing with like calling in things from your home nation, and that's like different menus that are in game while you're playing, on top of managing your entire base, managing your army, managing all that, and then managing a full-on tech tree, and not just you have your foot soldier attack and defense upgrades, your cavalry attack and defense upgrades. It's a whole slew of things in 3. So to me it makes sense why that one's not getting ported. That's why they're not at least porting 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's just 2 and 4. But I was happy with what they were showing. I think the band at the end was actually really good. Like the first song was just kind of okay, cool. They get this cute little band, and then they actually kept going, and it was actually really enjoyable. Highlight, obviously, well, for at least for me and Crusader, but to share with everyone, highlight, hands down, Age of Mythology Retold. I am so freaking excited for that, because that, out of all the Age games, honestly, Age of Mythology is where I put most of my time in, because I loved the story. I love like that. Honestly, that game got me into my middle school mythology focus. Like I was in a space focus before that. I had to get all the space books, anything to do with planets and stars. After that game, and I started playing that, it was mythology. I had freaking Egyptianology, the book, on me. I had, I was reading up on Greek mythos. I was like, holy shit, I didn't know that there were Greek titans that were before the Greek gods, and then that they had all their own stories and whatnot. Norse mythology before I even knew about, Marvel being a thing, and, the Avengers with Thor. So like, just that game, super impactful on my life, and I loved it. And when the expansion came out with the Titans and the Atlanteans, that was awesome. It was awesome that they gave every faction their own Titans. And so, freaking the Greeks summoned their bipedal Cerberus, and the Egyptians summoned their giant bird head Titan. And it's just like probably some of the greatest RTSing I've played outside of, honestly, StarCraft 2. I think StarCraft 2 is still, like, at least competitively, or just like modern wise, is still like a really solid game. But no, Age of Mythology, having that, not even a remaster, a retold. It's probably a remaster, but just
they can't call it remaster, because remember, they released the definitive edition, and it was bad.
Well, it was only bad because they added another faction that was literally just reskins of things that were already in the game. Yeah, no, but no, I'm that is definitely my highlight of the stream. While I am still super excited for everything else that's coming out, like, you know, RTS on console. That it's what was the first RTS on console I played? Crusaders, you and me, it was Universe at War,
Yeah, it's
and
a bad game.
that was a mess. I
It's a
actually kind
buggy
of
game.
enjoyed
It
it.
was fun, but it was buggy.
I enjoyed it only when I was playing as like the evil red alien faction, because that was like the only faction that like I enjoyed. The other two were like one of them was like what, a weird yin and yang
Yeah,
Atlantean,
I don't remember.
and the other one was just like
Yeah.
robot people. And it's like
The icon for the Xbox achievements don't, like the image of like the box art that would show up for the achievement page,
Yeah.
doesn't even work anymore. You don't see it on Xbox One.
it's
Right? It's the only game
inside
that I
and
have on my
outside
list
the
like
game.
that. It's so broken.
But honestly, like when you think Xbox RTS, the first thing that comes to mind is Halo Wars and Halo
Yep.
Wars 2. And they're great. They're fantastic games. I still love them to this day. I actually played it recently with one of our friends, and it was so weird playing it on. I was playing on PC, but I was playing it with a mouse and keyboard rather than controller, and it was so weird because I'm actually just more used to playing that game on controller. But something like that, you know, bringing Age into Age of Empires in the modern era, console gaming RTS. It's awesome. It's a great time to be an RTS fan because PlayStation does not provide that. And obviously, RTS has always had its main home on PC, but Xbox isn't taking that away. That's what crossplay is for. That's what PC Game Pass is for. PC, Microsoft Store, all that. Like, they're not taking anything away from us on PC. They are giving it to more people, and that's just a win. That is an absolute win for everyone in who wants to get into the franchise and is already into the franchise. And I can't wait to, you know, see it once it launched, play the game, play with people who've never played before. And that's another thing about me, that I am really not a competitive RTSer. I am actually almost hyper casual. I almost exclusively play against bots. I usually play the story mode, and I have fun with that because I personally am not a very PvP focused player in any regard. I just don't find it fun. But, you know, but that's fine. I still would love to play with my friends, with new people, against AI, and, you know, just have fun playing a strategy game and having fun with it, you know. And now what? They're also adding the cheats. They're adding the classic cheats, Photon Man and all that stuff. I remember in Age of Mythology we had Oh Canada for the laser bears, and Love You for the flying purple hippos that shot hearts out of their mouths. Like and that's just something iconic with the Age games, and I'm happy that 4 is finally getting that treatment too. So it honestly, everything just great stuff. Absolutely cannot wait for any of these things to hit, especially Age of Mythology. But, you know, Age 2, 4 on the console, can't wait. It's going to be great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting too. We don't have to wait too long for Age of Empires 2 to launch. That's coming January. Like, pretty quick. You know, like 2 months almost, like maybe 3. Like, that's yeah, pretty close by. I know Age of Empires 4 is, they said, later in 2023, but still, I mean, it's next year, so I mean, that's pretty exciting.
Yes, very much.
Too bad we don't have anything for Age of Mythology Retold, but I mean, it's not like they don't have any other scheduled RTSs coming out. I mean, they do have that one. I keep forgetting the name that got announced at last E3. I forget it.
Minecraft Legends?
No, the other one.
Oh, Aura History Untold. That's not real time. That's turn-based.
Okay, turn-based. Sorry, but still strategy game anyways.
Yeah,
like I'm just saying, which I like. I like the variety of strategy games, which is nice. I mean, it's just interesting. Dots, I have to ask. I mean, because, you know, we were sensing that we were going to get some Age of Empires news sometime soon. What about Rise of Nations? I'm kind of surprised not to hear anything there.
I honestly don't really keep track with them too much. If, you know, did they actually announce something, or is it just...
No. No, but there was something back in like April and May. I remember like it's been kind of how do you want to say? It's like it's shown up in the Xbox store like when there's sales and stuff. But I mean there hasn't been an official announcement for it. I mean, I'm just assuming since they're doing this with like Age of Empires titles, I wouldn't be shocked if they did something with Rise of Nations personally and bring it to console.
Maybe which I mean next year 2023 will be their 30th anniversary. I mean their 20th anniversary. So if they make an announcement for that there is a potential there. But that would probably be next year.
I wonder where that IP falls under Microsoft, like, because we know what's the Age of Empires production studio that they have. They don't actually develop the games.
World's Edge.
World's Edge. I wonder if that IP falls under their purview, or whose purview that IP falls under, or if it's just kind of like in like the bin of Microsoft IPs, you know? Because as far as I'm aware, the only IP that actually falls under World's Edge is Age of, like the Age of quote IPs. That's why Age of Mythology is theirs as well, because it's technically actually part of the Age of Empires brand.
That's correct.
So it's very interesting. I wonder where if they claim Rise of Nations, and if maybe they're doing something with that.
I mean, in a way, I would like them to, because I mean, they're the ones with the expertise in RTS. So I mean, I would like to have them handling it. But then again, you never know. You never know what their plans are for. I'm anticipating to hear something about it, but we'll see what happens.
That would probably be a next year thing if they do decide to do a 20th anniversary thing for them. Obviously, it wouldn't be as big as Age, I think, but I think that if they make any announcement, it'd be like, hey, you know, it's our 20th birthday. Here's some good news for you, Rise of Nation fans.
Mm-hmm.
No, all I'm saying is what they were published by Microsoft, developed by Big Huge Games, Westlake Interactive. They had the extended edition, but that was developed by Skybox Labs. So
yeah, but I mean, it's pretty highly touted IP in the RTS genre, so be interesting to get on console, in my opinion. Eric Shockley, buddy, I mean, I don't know how familiar you are with Age of Empires, but still interesting that it's coming to Xbox console. I mean, a lot of people were clamoring for it, including myself. I don't know, what's your take about like all the Age of Empires news? Good stuff?
Yeah, no, it's cool. I'm probably not interested in it much, but hopefully it bodes well for whenever, if they ever get to ever making a StarCraft 3, or maybe bringing StarCraft 2 over to Xbox. That'd be cool. I'd be more interested in that, but from playing the first or the old one back on the PC things, but in N64. But yeah, I mean, I would be interested in something like that. Age of Empires doesn't entice me. But yeah, but it's a good sign for hopefully other future RTSs like coming, right to console, not, being skipped altogether or waiting years and years before they come to console. So more of a regular thing going forward. So, but yeah, it's awesome for all the Age of Empires fans. Comes, straight to Game Pass. That's be pretty sick. But yep, I'll give it a try. But yeah, hopefully it means more of their other games come there, and then actually mentioning maybe that makes them go back and try it out, since Microsoft will own them, and Microsoft's big into RTS right now. So
do not let the numbers fool you. Age of Empires 2 is not baby's first RTS. I would play 4 first.
Okay.
2 is complicated as all heck.
Oh, no screwing around, huh?
It is so complicated in how simple it is, and that's the thing. Is that there is so little to do in it, like so many little tasks you have to do, but you have to do all those tiny little tasks all at once in perfect sync, perfect timing. And if you set your AI opponent even like one little tier up, it's the computer's like, hey, I'm going to control 100 things over there and 100 things over there, while your human brain is still focusing on trying to get your 3 villagers to mine this one thing. Have fun with that.
Oh wow.
I actually am excited though about one thing. Even though it's not technically Microsoft, Frost Giant Studios, they're a break off of Blizzard, and they're making a new RTS game called Demon Gate, I believe, or Stormgate. Stormgate.
Okay.
Is that the free-to-play one that was announced? That
It is-
has
it is the
like it
free-to-play
looks like 8 different games mashed together.
It is literally like it's StarCraft, but it's demons instead of aliens as the antagonist.
Didn't the demons look like orcs from Destiny?
They look like Diablo. Like
They look like Diablo? Okay. Maybe I'm
They
thinking of a
look
different
straight
game.
up yeah, they just look like swole Diablo with wings. But that they are really building that, at least from what they're saying, to be like baby's first RTS, but still give us enough for like, veteran RTS players to enjoy. So I've been keeping a close eye on them. They're going into beta testing next year so we'll actually get to see some actual gameplay next year, hopefully. It definitely for anyone new to RTS is keep your eyes open for that, especially since it's free to play and their monetization apparently will just be cosmetics out the gate. But if you don't play RTSs for cosmetics unless you are super into RTSs, so I think that's a win personally. So just something to keep an eye out for. Shameless plug. They're not sponsoring me. I'm not getting paid anything.
All right. Good to know, Dots. Good to know. Centurion buddy, how about you? Got any thoughts on the wider range of Age of Empires news?
Well, I'll just keep it short and sweet. I have not played a lot of RTSs. I've dabbled in them here and there. I fell in love with Halo Wars 2. What?
For shame. I'm just kidding.
I fell in love with Halo Wars 2. I play, I don't know, like, does Civilization count as an RTS?
No, it's turn-based because the
It-
R
That's
is real time. It stands for real, so it's real-time strategy versus turn-based strategy.
Okay, real time. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Well, at any rate, I haven't had too much dabbling in the RTS thing. I will be honest, I do not use my PC to play games on. I use my PC to do a lot of work on and content creation. To me, it's not a like I am. This is just a short pun, but to me, it's not a toy. It's a tool, and I'm not using it to play games on because I don't want to. I don't want to have all these games on it that basically are like slowing it down because I need to have a lot of freed up memory for what I do. But I'm looking forward to this because I've always heard a lot of people playing Age of Empires and people like Dots that make these RTS games sound like absolute fun, and I want to check them out. But me, I'm gonna be upfront. I'm the kind of gamer that wants to just sit on my couch and play my games on my 60-inch 4K television. I don't want to be reduced to my 27-inch monitor. So I'm looking forward to this coming to console because I'm going to be able to check this out at this point. That's where I'm at on it. Is I'm excited because I'm going to finally be able to check out Age of Empires.
All right. No, that's fair enough. I mean, like, to be honest, I'm really pumped for it. I'm a huge RTS fan and Age of Empires in general. And yeah, I'll certainly be giving it a go once it comes to console. Like Dots was saying, Age of Empires 2, it's has a bit of a learning curve to it, so don't go in there thinking that it's Halo Wars, but either way, pretty exciting news in general. And I look forward to, again, all the Age of Empires stuff that comes to the console. But again, it wasn't just the console stuff. There was also Age of Empires Mobile that was announced. We'll see how that does. But otherwise, again, it's good to hear. I know we were expecting an Age of Empires announcement for what seems like ages now. But
No pun intended there.
right? I didn't even mean to make that pun. Damn. But no, either way, it's exciting. I like it a lot, and I think it's a big win for Xbox fans in general, just console fans. So and the IP too, right? It gives more breadth to the IP, right? And I want to see it get more popularized personally. Any other comments, guys, before we move on? Yes, no?
Yeah, I am super stoked for the Age of Mythology. That was the announcement for me at that thing. RTSs, I like to play on mouse and keyboard. I mean, granted, I can play it on mouse and keyboard on the console version because one thing Dots didn't bring up, he brought up the crossplay, but it's going to have mouse and keyboard support on console, and that because RTSs are one of the few genres that I have to play with a mouse and keyboard. Most games I vastly prefer a gamepad, right? I can't stand mouse and keyboard for the most part, but like RTSs are the one genre where my brain, even with like Halo Wars, it just doesn't click right with playing it on controller. So super happy for that. But I Dots was in my DMs, all caps, sending me like 8 messages saying like Age of Mythology, tune into the show. And I because both of Prospecma, exactly. Is our the characters are like the Sims and don't speak like real words. They speak, it's some kind of Greek or something, but it's not anything that anyone except for maybe someone who's Greek understands. But I'm so excited. I bought, this will age me, but not it'll age me young. I bought Age of Mythology at a Scholastic book fair in elementary school. They had a copy of it, the discs, back when PC games came on discs, right? I bought it at a Scholastic book fair. I was in like the 3rd grade, and I bought it and started playing it, and it was one of the first games that I put a ton of hours into. I loved it, and just like Dots, it got me into history and mythology and stuff big time, wanting to learn more about the different cultures and their histories. And for a long time, I wanted to be an archaeologist, largely in part because of that game. I like that. That's what caused me to become so interested in everything in the first place. Didn't do that. Became a computer scientist because I wanted to live comfortably and have money. But so I am so excited for Age of Mythology. So excited.
All right, good to hear. Well, again, I'm glad to see the excitement, and yeah, I'm interested in Age of Mythology too. Guys in the chat, everybody tune in. Let me know in the comments, or yeah, in the chat as well, if again, what your reaction to this news is, and if you're excited to see Age of Empires and Age of Mythology announcement. It's again, we got a lot to look forward to next year, and this is a nice cherry on top, if I'm to be honest. But all right, guys, on that note, why don't we move on to our last topic of the night? And a few days ago, Xbox released a new trailer for Redfall, timely considering Halloween, of course, showcasing some new gameplay and enemies such as the Angler and Watcher. Overall, I just thought it was pretty good gameplay for a short trailer, and I'll admit, like, I wasn't really too interested in Redfall at first, but I don't know, when they start releasing these trailers more and more and I see more gameplay, it gets me a little more excited. Centurion buddy, what'd you think of it? It was a nice little teaser just before Halloween time.
It seemed relevant. I mean, obviously from watching the trailer, the signs, the fall harvest, and all the other stuff that points to this game is going to be centered around that part of the year. Definitely was at least a treat for me. I'm looking forward to Redfall. It's definitely a game I'm looking forward to playing with friends. I mean, what do we already don't know about about Redfall? We know that the game is going to be like, I don't even want to say Left 4 Dead. It's going to be definitely a multiplayer-esque style game where you go run around and you're going to obviously have a very decent story. I like the comparison, at least in the article that I read, that they were trying to go for that Borderlands style when it comes to multiplayer. But it looks like it's going to be a really good game, at least for me and the friends that I have, and we enjoy those types of games. You could see reminisce of like what some of the things you're going to have to do. Like we saw that heart in the middle of one of the areas that you're fighting in, and it had all the veins and everything going, stretching to different parts of the map. And obviously from playing certain games, I wouldn't be surprised if you had to chop at those veins and somehow disconnect the heart to weaken it. The whole objective is probably more than likely going to be to destroy the heart. We've seen some of the other bosses now, and the different enemy types. I like the concept of, one moment you see the creature in the room and all of a sudden the lights flicker and the game is gone. I mean, the creature's gone. That gave me reminiscence of the game Fear back in the day with Alma, where you would see her walking down the hallway and all of a sudden the lights would flicker and she'd be gone. I'm excited. Redfall looks like it's going to be a great experience. It's going to be definitely something new for the developer. I mean, I'm bad with names. What's the name of the developer again? Arcane. This is going to be something new for Arcane. Obviously, they've never done games as a service. I remember them doing Dishonored, and this is going to be definitely a new experience for them and me to see them do games as a service. And I'm really looking forward to it. The trailer, if you haven't seen it, you should really go check it out, because Redfall, every time you see it, you just want to play it, and the trailers just get you that more intrigued. But I do have the question, because it is centric around Halloween. I just hope that, and I hate to say this, I do want this game to come to market sooner than later. But if you are going to release it, release it sometime, if maybe a few months before Halloween, if you want it to come out early. But if you have a game that revolves around Halloween, at least right out of the gate, try to capture the moment of the Halloween spirit and release it somehow relevant to the actual Halloween holiday in real life. Because like, as an example, the movie Hocus Pocus, we all know it. A lot of people have seen it. Kids love it. That movie actually was originally released around the 4th of July, and it went off in the entertainment industry like a lead freaking balloon. The movie completely flopped in theaters. People did not want to go see a movie that revolves around Halloween for the 4th of July, and it didn't work. And then all of a sudden it gets released on video around the same time as Halloween. And now all of a sudden we have Hocus Pocus, which is a freaking cult classic. But if you look at the history of the movie flopped in theaters because it was released at a very bad time. And that's where I just really hope Redfall, at least they're paying attention to stuff like that. And yes, you have a game that revolves around Halloween, so it's only fitting that this game comes out probably third quarter next year. Is that a fair statement?
So it was one of the majority of the games that they had advertised for coming out in quarter 1 or 2 next year. So
all it says is coming 2023.
It was among, there was only 2 games or 3 games at the E3 showcase from last year that they had originally listed as not coming by June of next year. And the 3 games were Silk Song, the Kojima game, and I forget what the other game is, but Starfield and it were both supposed to be coming out in quarter 1 or 2 of 2023. As of the last time we've actually been given an update on their window, which was at E3 last year.
Well, I'm just giving my opinion on the fact that, regretfully, like if you want another bad thing, like they're releasing Callisto Protocol around Christmas. Yeah. Obviously, the delay is what caused that. But in my opinion, that would have been my freaking barn burner for the Halloween spirit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's gonna be like 3 horror games back to back to back. Like month to month. It's Callisto, then Resident Evil, and then Or no, Callisto, then Dead Space, then Resident Evil.
Dead Space, and then we also got Dead Island.
Oh, and Dead Island. When's that? What month is Dead Island dropping? I remember. I know. They announced that.
Is it in February?
January.
Oh, so there's
February?
we're gonna have Resident Evil and Dead Island in February. Maybe it won't be the worst time after all to launch it in like February or March because like
well, that's why I mean we're getting a second freaking Halloween season at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, like they're just dropping a bunch of horror games all together, so maybe they can just time it all together and people will be in the mood by force.
Again, I wouldn't be surprised if they dropped Redfall like just before Easter or something, like in late March.
I would say, you know what? Now that we really are, I completely forgot about all the other games that are coming out. The horror horror style games coming out in the beginning of the year. If Redfall can release on the coattails of that whole concept where we just have horror game after horror game back to back, month to month, it would work. But if by some chance they wait like 2-3 months after that whole thing and all of a sudden they're releasing in like a lull where it's just like, man, it just feels like this game should come out like, I mean, if you're going to release the game June or July, dude, just wait till September when people are already getting in that mode for Halloween.
From what I've heard, they're targeting March. That was a while back. But from what I heard, it was targeting a late March release. I can't state how accurate that is. It's somewhat. It came up on our on the subreddit, but the game, the person who put it out had also put out some images that went along with stuff, so it gave credence to the rest of what they were saying. They were unreleased images before, so that would work. I mean, it would be right with the rest of it. You know what I mean? It would be right after that stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, that would kind of fall in line, too, because then where does Starfield fit in? And I wouldn't be surprised if that was May.
June. Yeah, May or June.
So... But that's just me.
Yep.
Let's see. Eric, buddy, I mean, I'd love to know your thoughts. Is Redfall a game that you had on your radar at all? Did you check out the latest trailer? Got any opinions on it?
Yeah, I thought the latest trailer looked pretty cool. I think it made it look a little bit like darker and more like tense and had more of a horror aspect to it. At least from that last trailer we got from I think E3. So that kind of looked cool. I mean, it reminded me of like that 30 Days of Night movie where it's like everything's really dark and.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like that's cool if like you have them that can like easily sneak up on you and you don't have a lot of light, so it makes things a lot more tense. So it'd be really cool to just to see how that kind of plays out. And a lot of it seems like it's not because people were saying it's just Back 4 Blood with vampires, but with Back 4 Blood and Left 4 Dead, those games are like pride themselves like on the whole multiplayer aspect, whereas like a lot of the trailers that I see of this, I don't see any other characters. Like it looks like they're just playing it like single player.
Yeah, people heard 4-player co-op and they assumed Left 4 Dead, and it's obviously not because it's open world.
Yeah, so like you can team like it gives you the option to kind of like team up, but yeah, I think it's kind of cool that like you don't necessarily have to, and it doesn't seem like it's going to ruin the experience. I mean, especially it's Arcane, so they know how to kind of make like a single player game where you have a bunch of different tools at your disposal and how you want to. That's what I'm seeing like a lot of the Dishonored like roots in there where you have different abilities, different gadgets you'll be able to tackle a certain situation, and kind of just like develop your own style of how you kind of want to attack. So I'm definitely, but I like how it looked a little bit like darker, more like, horrific, at least from that trailer. So hopefully they like really play into it and make it like a really tense situation. Kind of like when you play like Alien Isolation, although I've never played that one, but I can only imagine just from watching alien movies and watching some streams of people playing that. Like, I haven't attempted to play the game because I feel like it'd be too tense for me to play that game.
It's very tense and it's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Which game?
Alien Isolation.
Oh yeah, dude. Freaking that game. I've played.
I was like, man, I really want to play that game, but I don't want to play that game.
Like
you haven't experienced that game until you're hiding under a table watching those pair of legs walk by going, oh my god, I hope this bitch don't find me.
I think the closest I probably got to that was like in Resident Evil Village when that, big creature, won't spoil, but there's a certain thing that comes after you and you're hiding and you're like, oh my god, get me out of here. Even though you're just playing a game, you're just like, don't touch me, even though it can't touch me. And you're in first person, so you at least can't see how close it is to you. Maybe that's what makes it more tense. But going back to this, it'll be cool if, like, from this latest trailer, and you're seeing like dude pop out of nowhere, and they can kind of get around you, obviously with their vampire like powers, where they can disappear, pop up another place and make things pretty tense to you. That'd be cool to just for them to just heighten that level, of thrill on top of the game. So to make it so it's not just some like generic shooter. Oh, I killed that thing. There's nothing. It's clear. Just make it something that's not super like generic, which I don't think they will, because Arcane does a fantastic job at bringing life to the world and making cool different ways to like eliminate your enemies. So definitely want to check it out. Hopefully it doesn't take a whole year, but yeah, like during or maybe it was I can't remember who just said when they should release it, but yeah, they should probably release it just maybe like I'd say like August or maybe September, like at least give it some time to like maybe breathe leading up into Halloween. But yeah, probably don't release it like direct in the summer. Even though like people are saying that's when you obviously release games, but sometimes people want to be in like more of the like Halloween vibe for this type of game. So it's definitely probably a good place to launch it, probably closer to October, but not too late. But like, don't do it super early.
Yeah, no, I'll be curious to see where it does end up falling. I don't know, with the Game Awards.
Also, don't release it near a Dead Space remake, or, well, obviously not Callisto Protocol, but don't release it anywhere near Dead Space, otherwise it's going to get bodied.
Yeah, I don't think it'll release anytime that soon, but the Game Awards are around the corner. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a release date or something for it there. That would be a good spot to
hopefully get a release date with another look at Hellblade at the awards, since we haven't seen that for what, it was 2019 when they released that first teaser, and they followed it up.
We saw the trailer last year at the Game Awards.
Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, that's where we saw that one. So it'd be cool if we at least got a like somewhat of a date. Or I know they said that last piece was gameplay, but maybe show more of it where it makes it more believable that it's not that the other piece wasn't gameplay, but some people had their doubts. But you put more combat in there where it's not a question. So
now. Dots, I'm very curious about your thoughts here. I mean, something tells me you're really looking forward to Redfall.
I mean, I'm definitely keeping my eye on it. I don't really have a solid opinion on the game yet. Squad-based shooters like Borderlands and whatnot, and whatever Redfall is going to turn into, it's interesting. Unless I get a designated squad, I don't really see myself hopping into this. And usually a lot of our friend group already has like their squad set up, and I'm not super enthusiastic about it, so I'm not really bent out of shape about that. It looks interesting. Probably Crusaders the only one who'll get this reference, but definitely they were trying to destroy the heart of the Black Garden in there.
Lamau. No, there's a few people on this panel who would kind of get that.
Right. So it looks good. I hope it's a hit. I hope not. I hope that not only is its launch successful, but it's supported afterwards. Because, like, for example, I actually enjoy V Rising, which is sort of like the top down Diablo-esque. You play as a vampire game. I think we talked about this on the panel before. And unfortunately, we have still been waiting for like more for the game, even though it's still technically in early access. They said that they were gonna drop more content for it next year, and but it's the game. The early access of the game has almost been a year, if not more than that. So, unfortunately, that game has sort of been dying off and turning into people are making servers that only last a week, and it's like all PvP focused. And then so my interest in the game's already gone down because it's PvP focused, and it's a shame. And I just hope that obviously completely different genre game, but I just hope that not only does it succeed on launch, but succeeds past that. Because as cool as it looks, and I'm sure a lot of people are excited for, it doesn't really sell to me anything new to the formula that's like, hey, this game is going to last 2 years, even with new content, because whatever. It doesn't seem, unfortunately, to me at least, that this game is going to have any long sense of longevity.
It'll have some legs, is what I think is the phrase that a lot of people would use.
That doesn't have what?
You don't see it having legs.
Well, yeah, it'll have baby legs. It'll
Yeah.
crawl on all fours and then decide whether to, poop its own diaper or, actually grow up. So, just, as I destroy that analogy entirely. So yeah, for people who like it, I hope it succeeds for you. I do not see myself playing it because, unfortunately, Destiny still exists and still has a contract on my soul. And we have, Lightfall coming out, and that's gonna destroy my soul, which I've already sold away. So I have to buy another one and then sell that one too. So me and Crusader, we find friends who have not sold their soul to the game and then sell their soul to the game for our own, demonic whimsy. I don't know.
Don't know where you're going with this now, Dots, but
that's all I got.
I gotcha. Yeah, no, Redfall looks cool. And guys, any other comments about the Redfall trailer?
Yeah, I think the gameplay looks great. It looks like Arcane gameplay, and I've been saying this since I saw it, that if the previous Arcane games like Prey and what's the other one? Prey and Dishonored are like Arcane's take on like a BioShock style game, that this looks like Arcane's take on a slightly Borderlands-esque style game. And that excites me because I love Borderlands. I love looter shooters. So I'm excited for this. I think the dialogue sounded awful, but like that's okay. I won't be playing this game for the dialogue. I won't be playing this game for the story at all. I'll be playing this game for the shooting of vampires. You know what I mean? Like I'll be playing it for that Arcane level of gameplay. So I'm excited for it. I don't know that if it wasn't for Game Pass that I would be there for the game. Does that make sense? I'm definitely going to be there because I can just try it and see if I like it or not with Game Pass. And it looks good enough that it looks like I'll have a good time. I don't know if I'm at the state where, like with Starfield, where like it would be a day one buy no matter what, right? But like this is definitely a day one play for me because of Game Pass.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I wouldn't mind trying it out with the panel. So hey, we'll see
that would
what.
Be fun.
Yeah. But again, like as you said, it's an open world game, so you can also play solo as well, from the looks of it.
Yep.
So hey.
Yeah, they said it's designed for. Hopefully, it's not like Borderlands where they say you can play Borderlands solo, but Borderlands solo is not balanced very well. Like you can beat the whole thing solo, and it's not too bad as long as you don't want to like start farming stuff. But like, hopefully, it is balanced well enough for solo versus multiplayer.
Yeah. No, I hear you on that. But We'll see what happens with Redfall, and I hope that we get a release date soon. Because, yeah, I mean, it's coming up to the end of the year, and we want to start hearing about some dates for some games. But, okay, guys, I think on that, we'll start to sunset tonight's show. Another fun time with the guys talking about lots of Age of Empire news, Phil's latest interview, and some Redfall talk. A huge shout out to everyone that stopped by tonight live. If you happen to enjoy tonight's offerings, then please consider leaving a like, sharing out this show, and subbing to the channel. Hey, every little bit sure helps, guys, and we really appreciate you. But with that out of the way, let's go on into the outros. Timmy had to leave early, but we'll start off with our guest, Dots. Dots RTS, buddy. Great having you on here tonight. You had some really great thoughts and commentary. Where can all these fine people follow you at?
Thank you so much for having me. And also congratulations, at least for next week, for getting on your 250th video. Sucks I didn't get on that one, but that's okay. I'm sure you guys will have a blast next week. I'm sure I'll be in the comments. But no, you can find me at Dots RTS on Twitter. This last week is probably the most active I've ever been on the Twitter because of Age of Empires news, and so I will continue to keep to that trend. RTS news is my main thing, but if for whatever reason something big in Destiny drops, or God forbid more Ace Combat news at some point soon, please, Bandai. I'm very vocal about those types of things too, but RTS games my thing. I love to talk about it. I love talking to people who also enjoy it. So you'll find me there, Dots RTS at Twitter, and yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, good stuff. Yes, guys, send him all kinds of obscure RTS game links. I'm sure he'd love to see it. That Peppa Pig RPG that's coming out, or sorry, RTS. Go for it. I'm just kidding. But then again, you never know. The internet is a pretty wild place. Moving on down the list here, Crusader, my friend. Hey, awesome thoughts tonight. Good show. Where can everybody find you?
You can find me at Crusader3456 on every major gaming platform. I think it's Crusader Lord of the Realm on Steam, actually. But yeah, follow me there. I talk games all the time on Twitter. I'm known as a complaining man there because I like what I like and I don't like what I don't like, and I'm very vocal about both. So, yeah, just hop in there, chat me up. Great show tonight.
Sounds good, and I concur. Moving on down here, Eric Shockley, buddy. Hey, awesome stuff tonight as well. Where can everybody follow you at?
Yeah, good show tonight. As always, you can find me at Shocknero on Twitter, EasyShock on Xbox Live. But yeah, thanks for for stopping by, and good topics tonight. But yep, everybody have a good night.
Well said. Who else do we got here? Centurion, buddy. Hey, again, you had some really awesome points yourself. Where can everybody follow you at?
Oh, guys, it was a great show tonight. Thank you for the great conversation. Thank you to everybody in the chat that was here. Be sure to give the show a like and subscribe. Invader definitely does a lot of hard work making sure the show shows up on all sorts of platforms. For those interested in finding me, you can locate me at Centurion1307 on YouTube, Xbox Live, and Twitter. You can also find me right here every Sunday night on TXR, and you can also find me every Wednesday over on Gaming Beyond the Box with Wilmy Hood. We just had a show this last Wednesday, and it was an absolute blast.
No doubt. Great to have that show back, that's for sure. And, all right, guys, you can find me on YouTube at Invader Gaming. Also, check me out on Twitter at Invader_1986. Yeah, just a reminder, guys, before we head off, that we do have that giveaway going on for the 20th anniversary Xbox headset. Check the link down below in the description to find the link, and it'll show you how to enter. I highly suggest you guys check it out, as, I mean, hey, I would totally grab this headset if it was still available. So, hey, get right on that. But yeah, really good stuff tonight. Happy Halloween, folks. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you here next week. Later, and have a good one.